I'd like to share with you 6 things that you can do to limit student tardiness. And none of the things involve writing referrals, involving administration, chasing kids around the hall, or yelling. But before I share these 6 things, I have a question for you. Why was the math teacher late to school? Perhaps he took the wrong bus? Anyway, the first thing that I'd like to share with you is, fake it till you make it. You see, Stanford University, they made a video starring upperclassmen, and in the video, the upperclassmen talked about all these wonderful things that they had done when they were a freshman to become academically successful. So, studying, not going to parties, seeing their professors during office hours, attending tutoring, all those kinds of things. The video was shown to incoming freshmen, and their academic progress was monitored. And what the university found out was that, there was an increase in student performance. The kids that watched the video, they did better than the kids that did not watch the video. Catch is, the video was fake. All the kids that were in the video lied about what they did. Those were the things that they should have done, not the things they actually did. But the reason it worked, and this is why you can fake it till you make it as well, the reason it worked is it made students that were there believe that these things that were stated in the video are how people act at Stanford University. So in your room, you just say, hey, students are not late to my class. Here, we start class on time. The second thing that you can do is establish explicit expectations. Now, what I mean is you need to be very, very specific about what it is you want students to do. Just telling them, hey, you can't be late, well, that doesn't mean much to them. To them, they might not be late, when to you, that might be what late is. So you need to tell them exactly what it is you want. For me, I want my students in their chair when the bell rings with all of their materials for the day ready at hand. Maybe for you, walking in the door when the bell rings is good enough. Maybe you teach PE and then being dressed on time is enough, or being in the locker room when the bell rings is enough. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you need to be very, very explicit with them about what it is you want exactly. Don't leave it up to interpretation, because more than likely, what you mean by on time is different than what they believe on time means. The third thing you can do to help students show up on time is start class on time. If you're in the hall talking to your neighbor on Facebook, or watching this wonderful video on YouTube, or even checking out your favorite website, thebeardedmathman.com. That was one great plug right there, wasn't it? Huh? That was pretty good. Anyway, if you're doing anything other than starting class when the bell rings, you're sending the message that class doesn't really start. They don't need to be on time because you're not on time. I mean, you're the leader of the class, and what you do is far more powerful than what it is you say. So start class on time. Another thing that happens when you start class on time is students don't just get to walk in the class and feel like all is well. It's easy for a kid to walk into a classroom if everybody is, just sitting around talking, doing all their own things. But if the whole class is doing something with you, it is very awkward for a student that's late when they walk in. They don't fit in. And teenagers, they definitely want to fit in. So start class on time. It will help you to get your students to class on time. The fourth thing that you can do to help students show up on time is you can incentivize punctuality. Especially at the beginning of the year, maybe set a goal for the class. Say, hey, if everybody shows up on time tomorrow, then I will provide you guys with some reward. Doesn't really matter what the reward is. I'd make it a small one, though. Now, more than just doing that, you also need to coach the students that are there on time to harass the students that are late. Get those students that are on time to help get all the kids that might be late to get into class and be ready, so that way everybody can enjoy the reward. And I would follow through and not provide the reward if only one kid was late, because you want to set the norm that class starts on time. And when you're talking about a class, you're talking about everybody. So they all have to be on time. Another thing you can do to incentivize punctuality is, say maybe mid-year, say there's a kid in class who's always there on time doing what he or she is supposed to do. In front of the whole class, thank them and give them some reward. It could be a treat, it could be, homework pass, it could be extra credit, whatever. Whatever it is, though, make sure the whole class sees how that person earned their way into your good graces. Another thing you can do, say you've got a kid who is frequently late and they start showing up on time. You can just thank them in front of the whole class. Just say, hey, Johnny, thank you for showing up on time. It's a big deal to me. It makes my life easy. Beyond that, everybody appreciates that you show up on time because, well, we're all here to learn. And when you're on time, when we're all on time, we can better learn. Not only is it great for me, I know it's impacting your future so much so that I know you're going to be super successful as an adult. You're probably going to be a multimillionaire. And then you're going to say, I owe it all to Mr. Brown because he taught me the power of punctuality. And then you're going to send me $1 million. Then I can afford a razor. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. So, incentivizing punctuality. Thank them, reward them, encourage them to show up on time. The fifth thing that you can do to help students show up on time is have a consistent consequence. Now, consequences range from very effective to almost ineffective entirely, but what's really, really important is that you are consistent with your consequence. So a kid needs to know that if they show up late, these are the things they have to suffer. And it doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Friday, if it's September or if it's May. It doesn't matter if the teacher's in a good mood, a bad mood, if they're energetic, if they're tired. No matter what, kid shows up late, they know they're going to have to suffer this consequence. Now, some consequences you could use would be like, I know some friends of mine, they make students write tardy essays. Some teachers assign lunch detention. Other teachers make students stand at the back of the room for a certain amount of time. Others yet make their students wait outside. What I do is when the student walks in late, I stop them at the door and I address them in front of the entire class. It's a little bit of a tricky thing because I am creating a confrontation and it's very public. So I have to be nice and, well, I have to read the situation well. I have to know if I need to be delicate or if I can be bullheaded. But no matter what, I usually end the confrontation quickly and with an invitation to the student for them to show up on time tomorrow. Works pretty well for me. But you need to find one of your own that works for you. Anyway, the key is not so much the nature of the consequence, but the nature of it being consistent. The last way that I would like to share with you that you can help your students show up on time is using peer pressure. Now, I've mentioned a couple of these already. So when you're incentivizing, if you want kids to encourage other kids to show up, have them chase, the tardy kids into class so they can be on time. Or when the student is late and they walk in and they don't fit in because everybody else is already doing something. Those are both, ways that positive peer pressure can be used. But I have a kind of a devious thing I do. And it might sound kind of mean because it's exclusionary and it isolates it kind of separates students from the rest. But it does so because of their behavior, which they are in charge of. And the design is to curb their behavior. What I do is I plant the seed in their mind that being late, or being last actually, I plant the seed that being last to class is an embarrassment. It's embarrassing to be the last person ready. Now, what I do is I tell the students to observe their classes and they will notice a trend. The kids that are last to get into class, they're usually the lowest performing. Now, it doesn't always work because, say, it's third period and a student for second period is all the way across campus. That can, contribute to showing up as one of the last students. But especially for first period and the class immediately following lunch, kids that are last in class, they're usually the lowest performing because they're not at school for education. They're more interested in all the teenage drama that's transpiring in the hallway. Anyway, I make it embarrassing for them to be last just by planting the seed, and they definitely don't want to be embarrassed or seen in an unflattering light amongst by their peers. So anyway, that's a way that you can use positive peer pressure to help your students show up on time. So again, the 6 ways that you can help your students to show up on time are, number 1, fake it till you make it. That's best done in one of the first days of the school year. Just tell them what the expectation is as though it's always what happens in your class. Number 2, you need to have explicit expectations so they know exactly what it is that you expect of them. Number 3, start class on time. When you start class on time, it sends the message that yes, we really do start on time here. Number 4, you need to incentivize punctuality. So reward them, thank them. A little bit of gratitude can go a long, long way. Then you need to have, number 5, consistent consequences. So a student knows that if they fail to fulfill the expectation, this is a consequence they're going to suffer no matter what. And the last one, positive peer pressure. By getting students to police each other, you exponentially increase your manpower, and that is far more powerful influence upon them. I mean, it's a very powerful force upon them, peer pressure. Much more powerful than you yelling at them. Anyway, if you found this video helpful or useful in any way, you could really help me out. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment. In the description, I'll leave a link to my blog where I discussed all 6 of these in greater detail. It's at thebeardedmathman.com. Anyway, thanks for watching.